Here is a truth that can shake the foundation of everything you think you know. Everything you call real, your body, your house, your memories, your identity, even this very moment as these words enter your mind, is not as solid as it appears. It is a projection, a construction, a living image rising inside consciousness, a kind of sacred simulation, not created by a machine, but by the deepest intelligence of existence itself. You are not merely inside the dream. You are the dreamer. You are the dream, and you are the awareness slowly waking up inside the dream. This is not a childish fantasy. This is not empty spiritual poetry. This is one of the oldest and most dangerous realizations ever carried by the human mind, a realization that appears in ancient temples, mystical traditions, forbidden schools of wisdom, and now, strangely, inside the language of modern physics and neuroscience.
Thousands of years ago, the sages of India gave this mystery a name: Maya. Not just illusion, not just deception, not just the world is fake. Maya is much deeper than that. Maya is the cosmic power through which the one consciousness appears as many. It is the veil that makes the infinite feel finite. It is the mechanism that makes unity appear as separation. It is the sacred theater where the eternal pretends to be temporary, where the limitless takes on a body, a face, a name, a story, and then forgets it is acting. This is why you feel separate from the universe. This is why you seek outside yourself what was never truly outside you. This is why happiness always seems one step ahead, one achievement away, one person away, one future version of life away. Like a mirage on the horizon that keeps moving every time you get closer. Maya is not simply the illusion that the world exists. It is the illusion that you are separate from what exists. It is the illusion that you are a small, isolated being inside a massive external universe, when in truth, the universe is not outside your consciousness in the way you have been trained to believe. Right now, as you listen to these words, your brain is constructing reality. Electrical signals move through the nervous system. Light enters your eyes and becomes images. Sound waves become meaning. Your memories create continuity. Your thoughts create identity. Your senses deliver fragments, and your mind assembles them into something you call the world. But have you ever asked the deeper question? Who is the one aware of all of this? Who is watching the thoughts come and go? Who notices emotion rising and falling? Who remains present while the body changes? While the personality changes? While memories appear and disappear? While the story of me keeps rewriting itself? There is something behind your eyes that has never been seen by your eyes. There is an observer behind the mind that cannot be reduced to thought. There is an awareness that witnesses waking, dreaming, pain, joy, fear, desire, success, failure, and silence, yet somehow remains untouched by all of them. This is where the ancient teachings begin. They do not begin with belief. They begin with investigation. What is real? What is only appearing? Who are you before thought gives you a name? The sages of the Vedas understood something humanity has almost forgotten. Reality as we experience it is not a fixed object sitting outside us. It is a cooperative construction between consciousness and cosmos. A cosmic theater where each soul takes the role of a human life, temporarily forgetting its infinite origin so completely that it begins searching for what it never stopped being. This is the story of Maya, the sacred illusion that allows the one to experience itself as many, the eternal to enter time, the infinite to taste limitation, the invisible to become form, the absolute to look into the mirror of creation and say, I am this. To understand Maya, we must return to a time when humanity still looked at existence with wonder instead of arrogance. Before the modern world reduced reality to matter, measurement, and survival, ancient civilizations studied the invisible architecture beneath experience. They saw life not as dead matter, but as consciousness expressing itself through layers of appearance. In the Vedas, some of the oldest sacred texts known to humanity, Maya appears as a creative power, the power through which the gods manifest forms, the power through which reality is woven into experience. But this was never magic in the childish sense. It was an understanding that what we call the world arises through a creative process beyond ordinary logic. The Upanishads went even deeper. They describe the states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and the fourth state, Turiya, pure awareness, the witness behind all states. In waking, you see a world. In dreaming, you see another world. In deep sleep, both disappear. But something remains present enough to say later, I slept. That silent continuity is the clue. The waking world feels real because you are inside it. The dream world feels real while you are inside it. Only when you wake from one state do you call it a dream. So what would this waking life look like from an even higher state of consciousness? The great Vedanta master Shankara explained Maya through a simple but devastating image. A man walks in the dark and sees a snake on the path. His heart races. His body tightens. Fear floods his system. But when he brings a lamp closer, he realizes it was only a rope. The snake never existed. But the fear was real. The body reacted. The mind believed. The experience felt undeniable. And yet the entire terror was born from misperception. This is Maya. It is not that nothing exists. It is that we misunderstand what exists. The rope was always there, but the mind projected a snake onto it. In the same way, consciousness is always here, but the mind projects separation, fear, identity, lack, mortality, and limitation onto it. We see division where there is unity. We see enemies where there are mirrors. We see death where there is transformation. We see the body and forget the awareness animating it. We see the character and forget the actor. The Bhagavad Gita describes this divine Maya as difficult to cross because it is made of the very forces that bind consciousness to experience: nature, desire, identity, action, memory, and attachment. But it also says that those who take refuge in the highest truth can pass beyond it, not by destroying the world, but by seeing clearly. This teaching is not limited to India. Buddhism speaks of samsara, the cycle of conditioned existence, where suffering arises because the mind clings to what is impermanent and mistakes it for self. Taoism describes the phenomenal world as the dance of opposites, yin and yang, a movement that appears divided only because the mind perceives through duality. Christian mystics and Gnostics spoke of the material world as a veil, a lower realm of confusion where the divine spark forgets its origin and must awaken. Different traditions, different names, same doorway. They all point toward one insight. There is a difference between reality and apparent reality. Water does not cease to be water when it becomes vapor. Light does not cease to be light when it passes through a prism and appears as many colors. Consciousness does not cease to be consciousness when it appears as body, mind, world, and time. It simply changes mode. It expresses. It hides itself inside form.
Hermetic wisdom says, the all is mind, the universe is mental. This does not mean your personal ego invented the universe. It means that manifestation itself is mind-like. Reality is not dead substance. It is intelligent appearance, a cosmic thought form inside the infinite mind. And because you are not separate from that mind, your observation, perception, and intention participate in the reality you experience. This is where the ancient teaching begins to touch modern science, because the deeper physics has gone, the less solid the world has become. In the 20th century, quantum mechanics shattered the old idea of a fixed, objective, external universe. Matter was no longer the simple substance people imagined. Particles behaved like waves. Possibilities existed before measurement. Observation became entangled with outcome. Reality appeared less like a machine and more like a field of probabilities becoming experience. Werner Heisenberg said that what we observe is not nature itself, but nature exposed to our method of questioning. That sentence should stop you. It means we are not passively looking at a ready-made universe. The way we observe participates in what appears. The observer is not outside the experiment. The observer is part of the event. The double-slit experiment demonstrated something that still disturbs the rational mind. When particles are not measured, they behave like waves of possibility. When observed, they appear as definite particles. It is as if the universe remains open, fluid, multiple, until awareness enters and experience collapses into one path. This does not mean your ego can command reality like a toy, but it does mean reality is far stranger, more participatory, and more consciousness-linked than the materialist worldview ever admitted. David Bohm, one of the great physicists of the last century, spoke of an implicate order, a hidden, enfolded field of potential from which the visible world unfolds. What we call reality is the unfolded surface. Beneath it is a deeper order, unseen but constantly expressing itself through form. To the mystic, this sounds familiar. Brahman, the unmanifest, the field beneath appearance, the ocean from which every wave arises and into which every wave returns. Erwin Schrödinger, one of the founders of quantum mechanics, studied the Upanishads deeply and recognized that consciousness could not be dismissed as a small accident inside matter. He saw that the division between self and world may be one of the deepest illusions of the human mind, and neuroscience, even with all its instruments, still faces the hard problem of consciousness. We can map brain activity. We can track signals. We can observe patterns. But we still cannot explain why there is experience, why there is an inner world, why electrical activity is accompanied by awareness, why there is someone home behind the eyes. Looking for consciousness inside the brain may be like looking for the dreamer inside the dream. The dream depends on the dreamer, but the dreamer is not an object inside the dream. Carl Jung, from another direction, also broke open the illusion of the isolated self. Through dreams, myths, symbols, and the unconscious, he discovered that the individual psyche is connected to something much larger than personal memory. He called it the collective unconscious, a shared field of archetypal patterns that appear across cultures, religions, stories, and civilizations. The hero, the shadow, the wise old man, the great mother, the divine child, the self. These symbols appear again and again, not because every culture copied each other, but because the human psyche is rooted in deeper universal structures. Beneath the personal mind is an ocean of shared meaning. Beneath the ego is a vaster intelligence. Jung understood that what we call I is only a small island of awareness floating on a much deeper sea. The ego is necessary. It helps you function. It gives you a position in the world. But when the ego believes it is the whole of you, suffering begins. Because the ego is fragile. It is built from memory, defense, comparison, desire, wound, and story. It is useful as a tool. but it becomes a prison when mistaken for the self. This is Maya at the psychological level, not just the illusion of the external world, the illusion of the separate I who thinks it owns experience. The Kybalion teaches the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Modern science echoes this in its own language. What appears solid is energy in motion. A stone, a cloud, a body, a star. All are patterns of energy vibrating at different frequencies. A diamond and mist may look completely different, but both are expressions of the same underlying reality, arranged in different forms. And here, the deepest veil appears. You are both observer and observed. You are not merely looking at reality. You are reality looking at itself. The separation between subject and object is functional, but not ultimate. It helps the play continue. It allows relationship, experience, love, growth, longing, discovery. But beneath that apparent division, there is only consciousness appearing to divide itself so it can experience itself from endless angles. This is the secret hidden in plain sight. You are a wave in the ocean of being, and the wave suffers only when it forgets the ocean. Einstein showed that time and space are relative to the observer. What we experience as a fixed timeline is not absolute. Ancient traditions said something similar in symbolic language. Time and space are aspects of Maya. They are the frame through which the eternal appears sequential, the infinite appears located, and the timeless appears to move. Quantum entanglement reveals that particles can remain mysteriously connected beyond ordinary distance. The Upanishads declared, "All this is Brahman." Everything is connected because everything is ultimately one reality wearing many masks.
So now we reach the dangerous question. What do you do with this? How do you live after realizing that what you call reality is not solid in the way you were taught? How do you move through the world if the self, time, separation, and matter are all appearances inside consciousness? The answer is not to reject life. The answer is not to become passive, detached, cold, or indifferent. The answer is not to say nothing matters. That is not awakening. That is spiritual laziness. Maya is not a mistake. It is not an evil trap. It is not something to hate. Maya is the sacred method through which consciousness experiences itself subjectively. Without Maya, the infinite would remain infinite, but it would never taste the sweetness of reunion. It would never know the beauty of longing, the tenderness of love, the courage of struggle, the shock of discovery, the joy of awakening. The dream exists so the dreamer can know itself. The veil exists so revelation becomes possible. Forgetting exists so remembering becomes meaningful. Vedanta speaks of 3 levels of reality. The apparent reality, like a dream, real while it lasts. The empirical reality, this waking world, functional and meaningful within its own order. And the absolute reality, Brahman, pure consciousness, the one unchanging foundation beneath all appearances. This distinction matters because recognizing Maya does not mean you deny your life. It does not mean pain is meaningless. It does not mean love is fake. It does not mean the world is worthless. It means the world is sacred appearance. It means life is real as experience, but not separate from consciousness. Ramana Maharshi was once asked whether the world is real. His answer points directly to the heart of this mystery. The world is real. Only its interpretation as something separate from consciousness is false. This is the key. The illusion is not appearance. The illusion is separation. When you wake up, the world does not vanish. Your relationship to it changes. You still eat. You still work. You still love. You still lose. You still feel. You still move through time. But something in you becomes lighter because you no longer place your entire identity inside passing forms. Problems still appear, but they lose their absolute weight. Emotions still rise, but they no longer define you. Thoughts still move, but they no longer imprison you. Fear still visits, but it no longer becomes your God. You begin to live fully inside the human story while remembering you are more than the character. This is what Jung called individuation in psychological language. The ego does not need to be destroyed. It needs to be made transparent. It becomes an instrument of the deeper self instead of pretending to be the master of reality. In alchemy, this is the movement of solve et coagula. Dissolve and reform. The false identity dissolves. A truer expression forms. You do not stop being human. You become human consciously. You stop performing the personality unconsciously and begin allowing the deeper self to live through it. This awakening is not a single dramatic moment. It is a continuous remembrance. Maya is powerful because you are participating in it. You are not trapped by someone else's illusion. You are part of the consciousness generating the appearance. Like an actor so immersed in the role that he forgets the stage, the lights, the script, and the audience. Awakening is not destroying the character. It is remembering that you are the actor while still playing the role beautifully. And when this remembrance enters ordinary life, everything changes. You can love without trying to possess. You can work without making achievement your soul. You can suffer without turning pain into identity. You can lose without believing existence has ended. You can succeed without worshiping the mask. You can be alone without being abandoned. You can face death without believing consciousness is destroyed, because you begin to understand. Forms come and go, but awareness remains. Every person you meet becomes another face of the same mystery. Every conflict becomes a mirror. Every desire becomes a clue. Every fear becomes an invitation. Every ending becomes a doorway. Every moment becomes a temporary shape taken by the eternal. This is not about escaping the matrix. It is about seeing through it. Because when you see through it, the prison loses its power. You realize you were never only the prisoner. You were the prison. You were the key. You were the space outside the prison. And you were the awareness dreaming the entire structure. This is the supreme irony of existence. You spend your life searching for freedom, only to discover that the one who searches is made of freedom already. You chase awakening, only to discover that awareness was present before the chase began. You seek God, truth, consciousness, enlightenment, love, and eventually realize that what you were seeking was the very essence of the seeker. Maya hides this truth, but Maya also reveals it. Through limitation, you discover the unlimited. Through separation, you rediscover unity. Through forgetting, you taste the ecstasy of remembering. Through the dream, the dreamer awakens. So do not hate the illusion. Understand it. Do not reject the world. See its true nature. Do not run from the human experience. Enter it more consciously. Because awakening within the dream does not mean abandoning life. It means living life as the sacred dance it always was. It means seeing the divine even in ordinary things. The breath, the face of a stranger. The silence between thoughts. The pain that breaks the false self. The love that reminds you of unity, the death that teaches impermanence, the beauty that appears for a moment and disappears back into the invisible. You are not here by accident. You are consciousness wearing a human form for a moment in time. You are the infinite looking through finite eyes. You are the eternal experiencing a temporary name. You are the ocean appearing as a wave. terrified of disappearing, not realizing it has never been anything but water. Now the secret whispered by sages becomes clear. You were never merely born, and you will never merely die. What you truly are is not the body that changes, not the mind that speaks, not the story that rises and falls. What you are is the awareness in which all of it appears. Maya is your cosmic disguise, but it is also your invitation. An invitation to wake up inside the very dream you once mistook for a prison. To see that you are both the seeker and the sought, both the question and the answer, both the path and the destination, both the one who forgot and the one who remembers. And when this realization becomes more than an idea, when it touches the center of your being, something quiet opens inside you. Not noise, not performance, not belief. Recognition. A deep knowing that beneath every mask, beneath every fear, beneath every role, beneath every form, there is only one consciousness appearing as all things. And right now, through your eyes, it is remembering itself. I wish you all the best. And until next time.